Hello, Emerald Hill Skies. My name is Doug Lucas, and we're broadcasting tonight from the southeastern corner of Louisville, Kentucky. I'd like to welcome you. We're going to try to work again on our list of 1001 celestial wonders to see before you die. Some of these are targets that maybe are a little bit exotic, a little bit off the beaten path, but the author, Michael Bakich, he thought that it's something you should see before you die, so I hope you'll stick around and check it out. We're also getting used to our new format using a remote mini PC out in the observatory, which is about 200 feet away from the building in which I'm sitting, and we're logged in to that PC using a software called Splashtop over the Wi-Fi that's out there. So let's dive in and see how we do. Let's see, we'll see if we can get things set here, and go to our combo scene here. So on the left, you've got the live view of the primary camera, which is ZWO ASI178MM Pro. And right there in the middle, you can see two stars that look like a pair of headlights. And this is 16 and 17 Draconis. 16 and 17 Draconis. I have never been too much of a double star guy, but maybe that's because we use a RASA 11 telescope, which is a very wide field telescope. It's designed to be about 2.5 degrees of the sky wide. It's like a Schmidt camera that you might see on one of those old observatory telescopes out in the West Coast. So it's really catching a pretty broad swath of the sky. As a result, we don't get as high of resolution on things like splitting stars, but these are far enough apart that the RASA has no trouble at all. In fact, it looks like, I don't know, it looks like a Jeep coming at you out of the woods or something. 16 and 17 Draconis, that basically means it's out of the constellation Draco, and was probably originally the 16th and 17th brightest star that had been cataloged there. Nowadays, those characterizations, 16 to 17, I don't know how much those mean nowadays, but anyway, let's just do a quick observation here for 16 and 17 Draconis. Here we go. And we'll say something like, look like two headlights coming at us from out of a dark woods at night. Now, interesting, I think 16 Draconis, which is here, the one on the left, actually has a much closer target. And if the light is just right, now this is 236% of our camera's capabilities. So in other words, we're past the 100% limit of optical zoom, and we're way into the digital zoom of this camera. But in certain light, you can begin to see a little bit, right there, just a little bit of a star off to the edge sometimes. Maybe it looks a little oblong, and that is the star that's just off to the edge, but you know it's kind of lost in the glare right there. I mean, you kind of have to, there, you can start to pick up a little bit of it right there. So what we're doing there is we're splitting out another star, and I checked this. I think that particular star might be 3.4 arc seconds away from the primary target. And that's why we're really just seeing the shadow of it. It's much too close for a RASA. On the other hand, we are seeing the shadow of it. So that's a good sign that our RASA is picking that out. But would I have been able to see that? Well, look, right there. Sometimes it looks like a solar flare, kind of like shooting out from that, there it is. You can see it a little clearer there, shooting out from the southwest corner. See that? That's that additional, in other words, 16 is a binary system on its own. And then 16 and 17 are a binary system revolving around the center of gravity here between the two of them, the mass here between the two of them. So kind of an interesting target. I can see why Bakich thought we should see this, just so we can try our best to pick this out. There you see it just a little bit better sometimes. Anyway, I'm going to check the audio here if I can. And also I'll try to get you guys queued up so I can see you. I think I'm going to start YouTube over again. I think we found out last time that that was the best way, once the stream starts up, is to try to start the stream over again on the iPad. And there it is. That worked. Okay, so I'm going to dial up the audio just for a second. Yeah, there we go. And we've got Trevor K from Melbourne, Australia. Good to have you aboard, Trevor. And Mark, I don't know where you're broadcasting from there, tuning in from. Wendy, good to have you aboard. And there's JM. Where are you observing from? Wendy's from right here in Louisville, I know. So we've got about a half dozen. Again, tonight's stream we had not advertised in advance. And that's just because I'm still kind of shy about using this new format. But as you can see, it is working for us tonight. By the way, we're at 641% of our camera's capability, which means we're way up in the digital zoom world. That's back out at the full wide swath of 2.5 degrees wide of our ASI 2600 MC Pro camera made by ZWO. Okay, so we're done with 16 and 17 Draconis. What do you say we head over to 31 Cygni? Okay, so we're here in Astro Planner. That's what we use to plan our observations. And we'll slew to that object. And you know what? We can kind of do a close-up of our scope cam so you can see it. And we'll unmute the outside. See if you can hear that motor. Maybe you can hear the whir of the mount positioning the scope. For our scope cam, we're using a WISE 3 security camera. So it's actually looking at almost a pitch black observatory out there. If you go out and you didn't know any better, you'd wonder how could a camera make out anything tonight, because it's almost moonless. And you can't see a thing out there in the observatory without a red astronomy flashlight. But this security camera, it's just amazing the way it sees in the dark, and it doesn't use an infrared light, which, by the way, might show up on the infrared edge of our ZWO ASI 2600 MC Pro, which does see just a shade of the infrared spectrum. So I like this security camera because it doesn't show a bit of, it doesn't produce that infrared light. It doesn't need that infrared light, rather. Okay, back to the combo scene, and let's do a plate solve here and make sure we're spot on. Looks like we were half a degree off. It's still early in the night. The mount is getting its bearings, and you can see right there in the middle, that's probably our target, 31 Cygni, probably right there in the middle. I bet right there. And we'll look at 31 Cygni. It's target number 625 in Bakich's list. So in his book, each target is numbered and described with a little paragraph. There's not a lot of narration, which, you know, I kind of miss the longer narration that we see in Stephen James O'Meara's books that we were using previously. But on the other hand, this is 1,001 objects, so it's a lot to write about in one book. 1,001, right? Yeah, 1,001. Okay, so this is object 625, and it basically says, sometimes called a triple star system, but the third star, 30 Cygni, isn't associated with the pair. The brighter star shines yellow. That would probably be this one, right? While both the secondary and 30 Cygni are blue. Well, they look a little bit more, I guess, bluish-white to us tonight, don't they? The brighter star center. This is a wide system, so use low power to view it. Well, that's good, because that's what we've got in our RASA. I don't think we're going to see any more detail, although that does accent that yellow color a little more in the 30 Cygni. And again, the Cygni, that just means that it's in the constellation Cygnus. And if you'd like to get a picture of where we're looking in the night sky, it's actually best to go over to Stellarium. So we're going to use our EAA control panel here, thanks to Pete for programming this for us. And in that one touch, it will automatically align Stellarium to Cygni. And that's just amazing that Pete was able to dream this up. It takes the target that we saw in Astroplanner, and it aligns Stellarium automatically in one touch. And you can see here the blue-white of the secondary star, 31, so it's 31 Cygni and its partner. I don't know if the partner is named here, but you know what? We can see it in Stellarium. Here it's called Hipparchus 99676. So it is not a named star, but see, if we click on this, it'll call it 31 Cygni. But if we click here, it just goes to these Hipparchus numbers up here. And these Hipparchus numbers are very, exotic. They're not very exciting. And then the third star in the system, this one, is 30 Cygni, once thought to be a part of this star system. But as it turns out, it is not. And we know that through spectral analysis. It's moving in a different path. So it's not moving together with this binary system. Looks like JM's from the Southwest Missouri Ozarks. Good to have you aboard, JM. Slew, baby, slew. Tiffany, good to have you back. Tiffany's saying greetings to everybody. Wendy, JM, Trevor, Mark, and Doug. How's the dog? The Shih Tzu. You guys are great, greeting each other. There's like a little family going on down here. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick observation here, and we're going to say something like the color differentiation was easier to see in Stellarium than in real life for us. Let's go back over to the live view. If I can get us back to it. There we are. So we can see the yellow, but I don't see these as being very blue. They are maybe blue-white. How about you guys? Are you seeing that? Joy. Good old Joy. Glad she's doing great, Tiff. You guys can tell me whether or not those look bluish to you. To me, they're just pretty much white. But I'm not great on colors, to be honest. I wonder if that's a double star over there. I'm not sure we could pick that out in Stellarium. Right there. Yeah, those are not very famous stars. But it looked a little bit doubled, like a double star system in the live view, didn't it? See, there's a little double right there, isn't there? Let's back off a little so we can see the bigger picture. Yeah, so that's actually a little Cassiopeia kind of thing, a little M, McDonald's M there with a little out-of-place star. Let's go back to Stellarium. This is the planetarium software. I'm trying to find that M. Oh, you know what? It might actually be this, right? It might be turned a little cockeyed. And sure enough, I bet that is a double or a triple star system. I don't know if stellarium tells us if something is part of a double star system. Stellarium doesn't have much of a commentary. But anyway, this is 31 Cygni, but boy, they're bright. I'm going to look and see if you guys thought it was very blue-white. Wendy agrees. They don't look blue. Mike, good to have you aboard from Atlanta. All right. I've been leaving, by the way, the noise out there, and I'll turn that off for a second. I bet that's pretty noisy in your ears. Sorry about that. Then we've got, the next is a triple system, 40 Draconis. It looks like it's double star night here at Emerald Hill Skies. 40 Draconis. So let's slew there. Again, we'll look at the scope cam live there. Turn on the motor. So hopefully you can hear a little bit of the motor. Boy, I'm not seeing it on the VU meter though. I wonder if I have that selected. I'm going to actually go into the settings. I'm going to look in the audio. The desktop is not. It's just default. So you guys will have to tell me if you're hearing any of those outside sounds. Oh, I know why. Because I don't have it enabled here. Let me go over here and enable it here. Now I bet we'll be able to hear it. Now I'm going to, because now that's noisy. You're hearing those outside noises now. Now I'm going to mute it for a minute so it's not bothering us in between slews. And let's go back to our live camera view now, if we can find it. There we go. And we'll plate solve. We're looking for 40 Draconis now. And it was maybe 7/10 of a degree out of alignment. Okay, so back to the combo scene. And there you see 40 Draconis. Now look at that. It's going to be a pure double there, isn't it? That's interesting, huh? So this must be 40 Draconis. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's not 41, but we'll check it out. Now that's at about 50%. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Oh, look, that's the live view. That's not stellarium. Look what a beautiful double star that is. And it's splitting really well. This is object 522. You know what? This object might convert me into liking double stars. How about you? I've just never gotten much into these, but I mean, some people, that's all they do. They just, every night, they just split double stars. The easiest way to find this pair is, tells you how to find it. Most observers see the primary as yellow and the secondary as white. You know, my color is just not that good. You'll also find both yellow and both white as color descriptors. I see. So I got to tell you, I don't know which is which. I don't know if this is 40 Draconis and that's 41. So to do this, let's sync with stellarium. And then let's go over to stellarium and take a look. Yep, sure enough. So that's 40, the lower one, and that's 41, the upper one. This star also looks like a double star system. But that's just SAO 9002. And let's zoom in a little bit. Oh, I zoomed in too much. Yeah. It could be that that star is actually just in the foreground. But our target was 41 and 42, or 40 and 41. So 40 is the lower and 41 is the upper. Now let's go back to the live view. So this is through our telescope out of the observatory. So that's 40, that's 41, and this is who knows what. Let's zoom in just for fun. Yeah, again, you look how pixelated that is because we're at 840%. You can just barely see the oblong nature of that. But it surely would not have probably been enough for us to verify that there's a double star right there hanging around. But these, it is really neat to split those. Let's see what the distance is of those. I thought I had that at Astroplanner, but I guess I don't have the distance between double stars picked in the view here. I wonder if I could add that. It's called Edit List Columns. That's what it is. And then there should be a little column of information called Separation. And it's in arc seconds. So 3,600 arc seconds would be 1 degree. So 3,600 is 1 degree. Okay, so let's see if that adds it. It did. So the separation between 40 and 41 is just 19.3 arc seconds. And that's easy to see if you're willing to zoom into 261% on a RASA 11 with a ZWO ASI2600MC Pro as your camera. But look, they're just barely touching. So I don't know if you really call that separating. Now I'll tell you what else. We can do a trick here. We could drop the gain. Let's drop the gain to about 100. And what that does is decrease the glare and increase the split ability. So that's another trick we can use with the RASA. Right now we're using by default 400 gain just so we pick up everything there in the field. But as you can see, that sort of like blinds us. Okay, back out to full camera, full frame. Corwin, glad to have you on for Barbados. JM says bedtime slewing. Pier-Tech! Vito, thanks for checking in. Vito is the one who actually produced the panels to make our observatory. He actually assembles it there in the factory, then disassembles it again. And then we went up and got it with a truck and a trailer, brought it down here, and built it in one day. You can see that on our YouTube channel. A 60-second summary of that, maybe 9 or 10 or 11-hour build that it took us all day to build. So he's the one that produced that observatory, and you can see it out there in that scope view in the lower right. You can see it. Also, if we go to our stellarium and we back way off, let's see. You actually see the roll-off roof there to the north. That's the rooftop of the observatory in a kind of a still picture. And you see we're kind of rolling around the still picture of the observatory. And that's Vito's handiwork. So thanks again, Vito, for building that Pier-Tech Tele-station 2 observatory that we used. And it's working flawlessly, so thanks. He also built the mount, that raisable mount that we have that raises up and down. All right. I think we're done. We already did the observatory. No, we didn't do the observation here, did we? So let's do that real quick. Thank you, Pete. And we're going to say this split was actually perfect for our RASA 11 at 100 gain and 3 seconds. At 400 gain, the two stars barely touched. They are 19 arc seconds apart. So this gives us a good, kind of a good way of describing the split ability of a RASA 11, doesn't it? We can now know that if the star is about 20 or 19 arc seconds apart, then with our 2600 MC Pro zoomed in, we see them barely touching at 400 gain. But when we dropped it to 100 gain, now we can easily see that. So the RASA is performing well for us tonight, isn't it? Being able to split something that's just 19 arc seconds apart. So we'll keep working with this. Let's go ahead and not only do the observation for 40 Draconis, but let's also do the observation for 41 Draconis. We could have actually marked both of these. C40 Draconis. We could have done both of those at once if we had both observations selected and then hit quick observation, and it actually will do both observations at once. I think that's a cool trick that Pete programmed. Okay, the next object is 44 Boötes, and it looks like it's a double star as well. It's double star night. So here we go. Let's go back to the scope cam and turn that night sound on out there. This is the audio mic inside the security camera that we have, the WISE, W-I-Z-E security camera. So when we slew, you can hear that security camera, and that's the sound of it. We're at about 31 degrees above the horizon. I wonder if that's into the trees over there, because I think we're into the trees there. 31 degrees at this section of the sky is giving us a completely black scene. And if we go to our scope cam, to our sky cam, yeah, this is our sky cam. Let's fold this in a little bit more. There we go. Sky cam. You can see the black trees tonight at supposedly 31 degrees. I'm surprised because I thought we had a better horizon over there. 31 degrees. Just must be in one of these tall trees. We must be like looking right here at the top of that tall tree. Because I think this real tree line, with the exception of that tall tree, is more like 15 or so. So that's unfortunate. We're not going to be able to see 44 Boötes. That takes us to New Draconis. Let's slew there. A little bit higher in the sky. I think we're going to do a little better with this. Yes. Corin wants to know where I got my shirt. We'll have to put these on the Emerald Hill Skies YouTube channel site. We'll have to put these on there. But I think you just have to do a web search for this. This is actually a gift that I got for Christmas. So I don't know actually where to get this. But I bet if you searched for it, you'll be able to find it on the web. But we'll put it on the Emerald Hill Skies YouTube channel. You can just go to YouTube and search for Emerald Hill Skies, and we'll put it there. There's several shirts there already, hoodies and stuff. Okay, let's do a plate solve here. Looks like we're, wow, it's a little bit more bothersome. 1.8 degrees off. And there we go. Right in the middle of the frame, we see New Draconis. Now you notice that some of these have Greek names and some of them have numbered with the constellation names. It just depends on which catalog they were originally numbered in and named. These are the common names. These two stars are separated by 62 arc seconds. So you can see it's a little easier to see them. That's at 100% of our optical zoom. And look how far apart they are. That's 62 arc seconds. This is Nu Draconis. And in Stellarium, you can see that one star is named, is that right? Kuma? That seems odd, doesn't it? This one is also called Nu Draconis, but it seems odd that both stars would be called Kuma Kuma. Let's look this object up, 488. 488. Corwin, we're thankful for your interest. 488. You can split this wide binary through steadily held binoculars or finder scope. Right. Two stars are equally bright, both are white. No explanation about why they're called Kuma Kuma. That just might be a Stellarium problem, but actually this one is new and this one is old. I'm joking. They really aren't like that. Okay, so I'm just going to go here and say, quick observation, easily split. What did we see these were? 62 arc seconds apart, equally bright. And again, Draconis just means they're in the constellation Draco, which, remember, it streams all around the Big Dipper and stuff. Okay, this next object seems somewhat exotic. It's at 67 degrees, so we ought to be able to see it. But it is an, yeah, it's an open cluster, I guess. And let's get back over to our shortcut view. Then what we'll also do is take you to the scope cam, and then we'll slew there. We're going to an object called Harvard 20. And I've read about these open clusters before. These are evidently a little bit more, I guess, faint. So they weren't cataloged in like Messier's original Messier list. Go back out to full auto here. And then, so as a result, it remained to find them later in the survey that they did at Harvard. You'll need to look carefully to discern the stars of this cluster. They're the 10 brightest of all the ones you can see in your eyepiece's field of view. What's more, they appear to sit in front of a dizzying array of fainter background stars. The brightest star in the cluster, SAO 105381, shines at a magnitude 8.9 and lies in the northeastern quadrant. The easiest way to find Harvard 20 is by tells you how to find it. The object's catalog identifier comes from a list of star clusters compiled by American astronomer Harlow Shapley in 1930 at the Harvard Observatory, by the way. So this is going to be tough to find. The 10 brightest stars. So I suppose if we zoom in here, how about that? What we're going to do is we're going to say, grab the location of this, you know, the deck and the ascension, hour of ascension, and then we're going to go over to SharpCap. We're going to turn on the deep sky image annotation. We're going to paste the info in. Oh, I know what we have to do. Let's go to our tools and do a plate solve only so that SharpCap's data aligns with the sky correctly. Yeah, so there's where the cluster is located. Thanks, Pete, for giving us that capability. Now we're going to turn deep sky vegetation back off. And your guess is as good as mine. Which stars? I guess he's saying the 10 brightest stars. So what do you guys think? Oh my goodness, JM just pitched in $5. Thank you so much, JM. Doug is a super sleuth, slewing the telescope. JM, you are blessed. Thank you for doing this. We've got about 17 on. If you haven't told us yet where you're observing from, be sure and do that. Okay, so let's take a guess as to which stars might be represented in this cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Certainly those 4. Maybe 5, 6, 7. 1, 2. Maybe this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Something like that. So basically those 10 brightest stars. Whoops, I'm sorry. Put you back on the combo C. So we're zoomed in here. I'm thinking it's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe this is 11, 12. Basically it's this trapezoidal shape seen here. So this is Harvard 20. Thank you, astronomer Shapley. Let's sync that with Stellarium, and let's go over to Stellarium and see what it looks like in Stellarium. Wow, it is not at all any easier to find here. In fact, I think it's harder because Stellarium doesn't do as good a job, since Stellarium is letting us see star clusters by making the dots bigger. I mean, Stellarium is letting us represent brightness by a bigger dot. So here's our trapezoidal shape deal. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Definitely those 5. This cluster is much more elaborate up here, isn't it? That's the angelfish cluster. But that's probably going to be outside of our frame. It is definitely going to be outside of our frame, because the RASA 11 see the field of, oh, well, maybe it's not. Look, maybe the angelfish is going to be in our frame. So let's put this back in the middle, and let's look to one end in the direction of this little triangle deal. So if we go in the direction of the triangle deal, it will be above it. Let's see if we can see that. There goes an airplane. See the taillights? The red taillights. Okay, is anybody seeing that other cluster? In Stellarium, that cluster is called NGC 6838, so that might be identified here in deep sky image annotation. Yep, should be right here. So let's zoom in. Yeah, so this is a live view of that cluster. The temperature has dropped some. Let's go back up here to our, this is our Pegasus Astro Power Box info panel. And you can see that the temperature is 3.8 degrees centigrade. I wonder if I can get these in Fahrenheit. Localization. Imperial. Changes take place only after a restart of the application. Well, that's sad. Okay, so we're going to go and close it and then restart it again. Takes it a second to find it on the network. There we go. So this is measuring from the scope itself. You can see that right now we're at 38.8 degrees out there on top of the scope. That's pretty chilly, isn't it, for an October evening? 38 degrees. So that temperature has dropped some since we got here. So we could use another focus, couldn't we? That's just not real tight. But it is nevertheless a beautiful little cluster. Let's get that image annotation out of the way. Wow, that's even prettier than the one we have. I wonder if that's in our view here. Let's do a quick observation of Harvard 20. These were tough to observe. We think we picked up the brightest 10 stars of this open cluster. But we could easily see why Messier missed it. You know, from his telescope on top, the hotel there in Paris. It's no wonder he missed it. His night vision with the lights that he had even back then, and with the telescope that he had. It was a 3-inch metal kind of mirror. So I wonder, what's the easiest way? I tell you what, let's do. Let's see if we can use stellarium to guide us to this. I'm sorry. Let's use stellarium to allow us to be able to do an observation. I don't think we can. I think we have to have guided to it in Astroplanner in order to do an observation of it. And if it's not on the list of the 1001 clusters, then we would have to call it up in a different. So let's do that. First, let's save this. And let's get one more time to get the name of that cluster. Well, look at this. This is M71. So we know we've already observed that. So there's no sense in observing. This is M71. It is on the Messier list. Cool. All right. So we're done here. The next is a multi-star system. It's at 49 degrees. So let's slew there. And again, we'll turn on that outside. Tiffany says, this is such a lovely field of view. Bless your heart, Tiffany. I appreciate the way you are willing to see the beauty of the nighttime sky. Can you hear that motor when it's slewing? Because here where I am, I don't have that speaker turned on. Okay. Now let's plate solve. Yep, there we are. This is psi, like PSI, not pounds per square inch, but the Greek letter psi. Psi Draconis. Look at the way, even at full frame, 2.5 degree wide night sky view, we can already see that there are two little headlights there. One slightly brighter than the other, don't you think? The left star is just a little bit bigger and brighter, right? It's 100 100%. We could use a little bit better focus. The temperature swings throw the telescope out of focus, you see, over the change, the swing in the temperature through the autumn sky night. This is object 499. Boy, I'm really liking this mini PC out there in the observatory. So no longer are we using the fiber optic USB cable. Now we're using Wi-Fi to connect with a mini PC that's at the base of the mount out there, the base of the pier. And that mini PC is actually running all these programs. The mini PC is running SharpCap, the mount software, the Celestron motor focus motor software. It's running Astroplanner. It's running the whole suite, basically, out there on that mini PC. And it has the same exact, well, not the same exact chip, a little bit beefed up chip as the Eagle 6 made by Prima Luce, is that what it's called? Prima Luce? Eagle 6. And it's their XTM version. So it's the whatever chip that is. It's very fast. And then this is a faster yet than that chip. Has about 32, I think, gig of RAM and a terabyte hard drive out there in that mini PC. And it's a terabyte that's not running as a disk. What do you call that? A SID or something? It's a solid state. SSID, is that what it is? Solid state, SSD, that's what it is. Solid state drive. A terabyte SSD out there at the base of the pier. I'm really loving this. I think it's got a lot fewer hiccups for us than what we had before with the fiber optic cable and the long USB broadcast. You can hear it slewing, Wendy says. That's awesome. Okay, so object 499, we're going to look at this. You'll have no trouble splitting this wide binary. The primary is white, the secondary is nearly so with a trace of yellow. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. Psi Dra tops an isosceles triangle with Chi and Phi Draconis forming the base. Oh, I don't know. I guess that means, would that be these two stars? Or these? No, that wouldn't be isosceles. Isosceles means it's equilateral on the sides. Boy, those look very dim to be the ones he means. Chi and Phi. Psi lies roughly 3 degrees from each of these stars. Remember the story of the 4 mother camels protecting a baby camel from 2 hyenas? Object 488. Well, Psi 1 and Psi 2 Draconis may represent the 2 hyenas. The other possibility is that the beasts are the stars Zeta and Eta Draconis. All these myths and legends. So I don't know if these are Chi and Phi. Stellarium sync. Go to Stellarium. Zoom in. It appears none of these are named. Unless it's much wider than we think. What about this? I bet that's it. But it still doesn't tell the Chi and the Phi and the Psi and all that stuff. But it does mark this one as Psi. Okay. Easy to split. Let's go back over to the live view. Yeah. Easy to split. 30 arc seconds, 30.2 arc seconds separation. Psi. It is definitely double star night, isn't it? Let's go to 70 Ophiuchi. 70 Ophiuchi. Ophiuchi. Of course, that's from the constellation Ophiuchus, which is rather large. I almost find that Ophiuchus is one of the easier constellations to find because it's so big and it has a bunch of fairly bright stars. We're at 36 degrees above the horizon, and sure enough, we're in the top of a tree. So that tree is growing over there. We're going to have to mark this on our horizon because look, if we go to stellarium in this, yeah, sure enough. Look at stellarium. See? You can see that sure enough, even in our photorealistic horizon view, we show that this is going to be in the treetops. And really, this red line is supposed to be the super accurate version. I wonder if this is aligned. Yes, it is. This is real time. Altitude. Oh no, that has it at 1 degree above. So why the difference? Maybe this needs to be somehow refreshed. Think. Doesn't this auto refresh? Maybe I've got auto refresh turned off. So let's say, how do we refresh? Refresh, 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 refresh. Where are you? I probably need to keep auto refresh on because this was not realistic for us. It told us the wrong. Oh boy, where is refresh? Create new object, delete, adjust. I don't see it. But these are not the realistic, it's not the realistic altitude here. I don't suppose there's somebody observing. Hello, Hein, good to have you aboard. I don't suppose there's somebody observing that knows where refresh is in Astroplaner. Like, update. I am not seeing it. Oh boy. PDF file. There's no PDF reader on that mini PC. But shouldn't it open it in Chrome? Yes. And we want to search. Surely there's a, I'll just hit Control F. Refresh. Force refresh of the chart. This is rarely necessary, except if you're Doug and you don't have auto refresh on. Top to bottom, these buttons are. Oh, that's the sky chart. Refresh objects from catalog. Updating elements? No. Well, I don't see it. Okay, so this is weird, but I tell you what, let's do. Let's try sorting again, and maybe that'll force a refresh. There's 70 Ophiuchus. It does look like it forced a refresh. Okay, how about let's just go to another object, because either way that object was below the night sky, and now we forced a refresh, so we should be accurate now. This object is supposed to be 43 degrees above the horizon, according to Astroplanner. So let's slew to that. The security camera is no longer mounted directly behind the scope when it's looking at the North Star. We did have a previous view that way. This camera is slightly off to the west of directly behind the scope. That looks very high for 43 degrees, doesn't it? So let's sync with Stellarium. And in Stellarium it says it's at 75 degrees. Why the difference? Something's out of whack. Ah, look. It has the time on 8 p.m. 8:41. So somehow the time zone has gotten set on Pacific time. So let's find preferences. Edit preferences. And let's go to site. Okay, that's not where you do that. How about telescope? Site status? Observation preferences. Date, time, computer. The computer says 11:42. Display observation date time as system. It says here 8:42. Why is it Pacific time? I know why. Because the mini PC in the observatory is set on, sure enough, down here. Look down here. In the bottom, oh, you can't because you're looking at the telescope. The bottom right, 8:43 p.m. It's the mini PC in the observatory. So now the question is, how do we set that time? Can we double click it? Can we right click it? No, we can't, because it's a picture of the time. Can we go search and say settings, time, date and time settings? Oh boy, so we need to be on Eastern time. Time zone, Pacific. Time zone. Eastern time. I guess there's no apply button. It just automatically sets it. Okay, now let's search again. See, sort for visibility and time. Okay, that explains why we were getting those readings of the telescope down in the black trees, because it was reading something that was 3 hours ago. it was putting the telescope where the object is right now, but it's hard to explain, isn't it? Anyway, now we're aligned with reality, and we can see the horizon as it really is. So let's look at objects that are about 31 and up. Here's a dark nebula called Barnard 29. Let's see if we can see it. So we're going to slew to that object. You know, dark nebula are kind of interesting because they're a picture of something that we can't see. The darkness is caused by gases and soot and clouds of dust that are black, and they're not lit up. There's no star illuminating them. So therefore, they appear to us as dark. And sometimes the only way to see them is to look at what we're not able to. We're looking at something that we can't see. That's crazy, isn't it? All right, let's go back to our oh, we're way out of focus now. Afraid we're going to have to take a moment in a second. Well, it's not so bad at full frame, but when we get in at 100%, you can tell it's out of focus. Temperature 38.3. Let's plate solve and turn off the mic out there at the observatory. 2.3 degrees offset. So in order to see this, I wonder if we're going to have to Barnard, let's just say B29. I wonder if we're going to have to stack these frames because I think this dark nebula will be a lot harder to see. Let's sync this to Stellarium while that's stacking a bit and go over and have a look in Stellarium. Yeah, see, Stellarium just has it as a point in the sky, but it shows no artwork because it's basically the absence of stars. So this will be a little more challenging for us, won't it? Let's go back to SharpCap. Here's our live view again. Now see how we can play with these lines down here at the bottom. Yes, mini PC. See down here at the bottom. Now I have a little more trouble on the mini PC, and I've wondered how to fix this. There is a thing up here that lets you configure things. View options. Show remote cursor. Now how would I see, does that mean that this cursor that I'm looking at now, that's the remote cursor on the mini PC? But see, it still doesn't turn into a double-headed arrow down here. So that's confusing to me. View options. So I'm still getting used to this part of the mini PC observing. That little controller down here at the bottom, whatever you would call that. You call that what would you call that? Like a vertical bar, I guess? If we're observing on our own laptop, when I have the cursor over the top of that, it changes to a double-headed arrow. But look, I'm moving it now. But it's not a double-headed arrow. So to me, that's a little bit of a quirky behavior. But we'll put up with it because everything else just works. Now let's see if we can grab this one. The only way I know how to grab something is to keep clicking on it until it lets me move it. There we go. Now what we want to do is dial up the rest of the sky. So we get a little higher sky glow reading. Look at the way we're pulling in all that sky glow and all those stars. Now I trust that we're plate solved, right? We did plate solve before yes, we did. So we should be able to say solve only, and then sharp. Let's just see if it's in the SharpCap's deep sky image annotation. It's not. So for objects that are not in SharpCap's database, Pete programmed this deal where we can say grab the deep sky image annotation coordinates. That's the word I couldn't think of a while ago. Grab those coordinates and then in SharpCap, turn on deep sky image annotation and paste those coordinates. I'm doing this off camera, but let me bring this little box over here. And we just say paste custom object info in. And look, it pastes the coordinates in for B29 and puts a circle there. So Pete did all that for us. He taught this EAA control panel how to pick up the coordinates from AstroPlanner and save them in the clipboard, and then we paste them into SharpCap. Boy, that focus is horrendous now with that temperature swing. So we should be right there in the middle of the... So what do you think? Like, look at this dark lane right here, for example. Let's look this object up, 929. 929. Heinz says you got to look between the black and the not black. That's right, exactly. 929. To find our next target, tells you where to look. Here you're not looking at the stars, but rather the dark nebula, Barnard 29, a cloud of obscuring material roughly 500 light years away. It ranks among the most opaque nebulae in the sky, but it's not all that easy to see. Through a 12-inch telescope, B29 appears as a gray, mottled region nearly devoid of stars. And why would it be nearly devoid? Well, because there might be a star in between us and Barnard 29. So a star in the foreground of Barnard 29 wouldn't be occluded or covered up by Barnard 29 because it's in the foreground. It's nearly devoid of stars that blends gradually into its starry surroundings. The darkest area appears 15 arc minutes across. To the naked eye, the nebula forms part of a dark lane that runs from 2.7 iota Aurigae to magnitude 1.7 beta Tauri, which is not going to help. But look, we're starting to see, tell you what we're starting to see is an airplane taillight. That's what we're starting to see. Now, what in the world is going on here? Was that the blinking taillight? So the taillight blinked here and blinked again there, and it also had a red solid light. But here, look at this dark lane on the other side of the airplane taillight. I bet this is it. Let's put up our deep sky image annotation one more time. So, Stellarium has it more over here. But I wonder. I think it's all of this. See how that's black? There's also a black lane right here. If it's not supposed to be as... So it might be all of this. There are quite a few stars appearing here, aren't there? So I think this is it. Once again, over in Stellarium, there's not a lot very helpful here. Because there's no, like, artwork of a cloud, is there? So basically what we're looking at is void. We're trying to find void. And this entire shape here looks a little void. Let's back off a little bit. See how there's so many stars, except for right here. It's almost T-shaped, except for that bothersome airplane taillight. I think it's here. Now, we're getting some benefit from the stacking. We're at 9 minutes and 40 seconds now. And I think that has really helped us to pick up enough other material. Okay, let's do the observation. This was fascinating. We were basically trying to find the nothing monster of the never-ending story. Remember Moloch, the giant turtle? Remember Atreyu says, so what's left after the nothing monster eats up our universe? And the turtle says, is it the turtle or is it the rock biter? Says, well, nothing's left. And Atreyu says, surely there has to be something. And I forget if it's the turtle, Moloch, or is it the rock biter? Says, something would be something, but the nothing monster leaves nothing. We're looking for nothing. And this looks like the closest thing to nothing. So we're going to say we were basically looking for black void, a cloud of obscuring material about 500 light years away. We could see a void in the night sky. But to be fair, it's not like it screams at you. What do you guys think? Tiff says, dark nebula elusive, still an interesting view. That's right. Well, tonight we have looked at dark nebulae, a dark nebula. We've looked at double and triple stars. We've looked at Pacific time versus Eastern time. But more than anything else, we're getting used to this system with the mini PC out there at the observatory. I was again too shy to promote this because I'm still figuring it out, as you can see, because we didn't have the mini PC set on Eastern time yet. But now, I'm saying this again, now I think we're ready. Next time when we observe, let's promote it and make it a regular observation. Now you guys, you special dozen people here, you were the few, the proud, who had your subscription set to alert you when we were on live streaming. And that's why you're here, presumably. But next time, let's promote it to the whole mailing list and try to get more of our regular mailing list back. Let's go ahead and call it for tonight. We've been at it for about 90 minutes. Let's call it there. I'm on the road tomorrow, so I'm going to get some sleep so that I don't fall asleep driving. Thanks so much for being with us. We're always thankful to God for all the cool things He makes, including dark nebulae and double star systems and triple stars and double doubles, binary, all those systems. Hope you have a great night and coming up a great weekend. Thanks for being a part of Emerald Hill Skies. This is Team Astronomy. We're in this together, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, Tiffany. And Tiffany says, be well, all of you. We echo that. Thanks to all of you who tuned in, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on Emerald Hill Skies. Good night, and God bless.